All right, now we're recording. Great. Great. Well, item A, Zoom information. It seems like everybody's figured that out. Item B, roll call.
Okay, sorry, never mind. My bad, go ahead. Pardon me.
It's all good. Roll call. Chair Seth, I am here. Vice Chair Ned.
Present.
And we've got Alder Andy. Here's your cue.
I am here.
Okay, good. Double checking. John.
Present.
And it doesn't look like we have Stephanie. Corey.
Present.
All right, and no Julia. Mark.
Present.
And Cody, not here, but excused. On to item C, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
There's a motion by Alder Andy. Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second. Okay.
By, I think John got that one. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay.
Seth, can you just hang on 1 second? I'm just having an issue in the roll call area here.
Problem.
I don't know why it's doing this. Saying present and voting, and then no, Julia's not here. Okay. Okay.
All right, great, thank you. Were we good on approval of the agenda too, or do we need to repeat that?
Who made the motions for the approval?
Randy, seconded by John. Unanimously approved.
Randy. I'm sorry, I'm just having some. Randy, it's just not.
Sorry.
No, it's not you.
It probably is.
It's not you, it's me. And John seconded.
Oh.
Okay, we should be, I think, all set to go to the next one here.
Cool. That would be approval of the minutes from June 16th, 2021 with the motion by Alder Randy. Do we got a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mark. All those in favor of approving those?
Could I just ask a clarification on the minutes from last month or 2 months ago? We talked about the possibility of creating code for how we use chemicals on municipal property, how the city uses chemicals. So that was just informational at that point. I did ask in an email to Seth and Melissa about bringing it up as an action item for this month, but it sounds like Melissa has already started a conversation with, was it Parks staff or was it DPW staff?
Parks.
Could you, okay, Park staff?
Mhm.
Okay. Is that something that, do you think that will come to us, or is that strictly internal unless we create an action item for it?
I would say it will probably be internal, and then when we meaning like the park staff wants to take lead on drafting a policy, then it would go to Sustainability Commission for review. But it would need to go to a standing committee for to have it be adopted as a policy.
Okay, like protection
I would think
and
park
policy.
probably.
Probably parks.
Okay, great.
That
Thank
was
you.
the direction that Dan Pichai gave me.
All right. Cool. Well, then I'll probably ask about it again over the next month to see where things are at.
Okay.
I just don't want to lose that thread. I think it's important that we address that. So,
You're going to be a test on the pesticide?
yeah, I will be. Thank you. That's all I had.
So for the minutes, Randy, you initiated a motion.
Yep.
Yep,
Then
and
who-
Mark had that second. So
Okay.
we can go into a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, we got that one passed unanimously as well. So we are coming on now to regular business. There was a communication put in from Alder Lefebvre, who does not look like she is here right now. Continuing our discussion on a no idling ordinance for drive-throughs and a public campaign. So Melissa, did you want to speak to that in Alder Lefebvre's absence?
Sure. She had sent a request that the Sustainability Commission discuss developing an ordinance. I believe, I don't have the printout in front of me. It was included in your minutes packet. Seth, do you have that minutes packet?
She wants an ordinance.
Ordinance. I can lines in front of me, but
Yeah, if I can, quoting here from actually it's on the agenda as well. So,
yeah.
text
Oh,
of
yeah.
communication, Sustainability Commission to establish a no idling ordinance for drive-throughs. This would involve a public campaign. And then cities that have bans: New York City, Massachusetts, Maryland, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Vermont, Hawaii, and part of California, Colorado, New York, Ohio, Utah, cleancities.energy.gov/idle base. And I believe there was a link in the agenda also to
Mhm.
a database or a spreadsheet from cleancities.energy.gov that listed a lot of information on there.
Right.
My link didn't take me to much information.
Pardon me?
My link didn't take me to much information. I didn't see.
The link cleancities.energy.gov actually has an Excel file there that lists state by state the bans that are in place within the communities in the state, in each state. Most, just a quick perusal of that, a significant majority of those bans were not for drive-throughs per se. A lot of them were aimed at diesel vehicles, so very specifically. I think there are 2 in Wisconsin that have bans on idling, but again, they're primarily dealing with large engine, diesel engine vehicles. There are a few that did talk about just general cars.
Mhm.
Let's see if I can. Yeah, if you click on that link, it downloads an Excel file. And if you open the Excel file, it starts out, it's tabbed to California right away. But, California has state of California, statewide commercial diesel powered vehicles, school buses, transit buses, pupil buses, mass transit, diesel fueled commercial vehicles with a gross vehicle weight greater than 14,000 pounds. And then Santa Barbara itself has a note idling for motor vehicles um, when the vehicle is parked, standing, or stopped on any street, alley, right-of-way, parking lot, or parking structure open to public use. So you're starting to get in, and that seemed to be pretty common for a lot of these. And again, it's public use. Regulating, I think we had a discussion about this last meeting.
Right, well,
Right.
so I just wanted to give, also kind of give the staff thought on this as well. As far as enacting an ordinance to ban idling strictly in drive-throughs is an extremely specific example of that, and it would be nearly impossible to enforce in drive-throughs. As far as, having an anti-idling policy, even for city vehicles, that would be very difficult because a lot of the vehicles, like some of the fire department and public works vehicles, need to idle to be able to operate some of the auxiliary functions of those vehicles. Police idle their vehicles as well for a variety of reasons, for safety reasons. So, and then just the broader picture of how this might tie in with an overall climate action plan, to have an idling policy or an idling ordinance in place. Again, it's very, very difficult to enforce. But I think what we need to look at is the bigger picture. And if we just zero in on this one specific action at this point, we might be doing more harm than good in the big picture of developing a climate action plan.
Yeah, I want to just echo and agree with what I mean. I feel like we had this conversation in May, and we talked about idling in the context of the bigger picture. It's certainly something that we'll need to and we can and should look at when we're making other recommendations for how to hit our carbon neutral and 100% clean energy goal. However, just as a one-off, I don't see it necessarily being effective, popular, or enforceable. I'm picturing like a police officer idling by a Culver's drive-through, making sure people turn their car off. I kid, of course, but yeah, I think if we want to just refer this, make a motion to refer it to staff to just consider idling as a part of our greater climate action planning process. I think that would be appropriate and still do the due diligence to look into the issue as Alder Lefebvre has suggested.
I'll make that motion.
All right, there's a motion to, do you want to?
So how would you like that worded?
Referral to staff to include idling in comprehensive or comprehensive climate plan.
Do we have a second on that?
And I don't know if we're gonna put like idling policy or idling
Yeah.
ordinance, or just leave it idling
I'd ask Randy idling policy. I mean,
policy.
Alder Lefebvre has called it an idling ban, but I think that's a policy. And if you look at the City of Madison has something, and then there are they cover all motor vehicles, but then they have exemptions for a whole lot of reasons, and I think that's all part of it as well. But for that climate action plan, I think I would support that, and I'd second it.
Cool, we got a second. Is there further discussion before Ned?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to refer to. I think to staff of different departments will have more of an expertise on when idling can really be cut down with their vehicles. So I think all of us would probably love to see a reduction in idling, but we're not the people with the expertise to make that call. But if we get feedback from staff from each department, I think that would go a long way. that's just my 2 cents. I think it should be part of a larger climate policy, and we should take a look at what Madison or other cities, moderate-sized cities, have done for idling, because I bet we'll get some good ideas from them too.
I do think just for the, considering all the other work that's happening on some of the climate stuff, this might not be the next step in our climate action planning, whether internal or external. I don't want to speak for Melissa, of course, but I think there's a lot of really good and important work happening across the see right now. So I guess in the meantime, I would like to just hand this to Melissa to kind of own until we're ready for that. I think that'll be, a few steps down the road, but Melissa, correct me if you disagree.
I do not disagree.
Cool. That's what I was hoping you'd say. All right, do we have further discussion on the main motion then?
I just want to know who's making the motion on Ned's part, Ned or his feline.
Seamus here. It's going to substitute for me. Yep.
Cool. Further discussion before going into a vote. Most excellent. All right. All those in favor of Randy's motion, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay or meow.
He doesn't like pollution either.
Oh, that's good. Awesome. Well, that passes. Cool. On to informational then. Melissa, take it away.
Okay. All right, few updates. So I was going to do a brief update on the pesticide use policy discussion, and the only thing I really have to add is, so Parks has the policy, Ned, that you, an ordinance that you put forward from Portland, Maine. So they have that. And what I did to continue facilitating this is last week I reached out to several different Wisconsin municipalities that have sustainability coordinators on staff that I've been networking with since I started, and just threw the net out there and asked who has policies, does it encompass city-owned, grounds and facilities, because that's what we're looking at this point. So I did that early part of last week, and I did get some responses. I haven't compiled all of those responses, but what I'm going to do is put a summary together. I would say like maybe 25% of the cities I contacted had policies in place. And just put together their comments and give that to Dan. And Dan and Brian from Parks and Forestry are the ones that are going to primarily be doing the initial work on it, but I'll be working alongside them as well to, continue the work on this. At this point, he couldn't give me a timeline of when they would have a draft. But he wants to make sure that whatever the policy ends up being, it's something that's, realistic and they can implement it. And it's, because there are several cases where the herbicides and pesticides are necessary to control invasives, whether that's invasive insects or plants. And so they want to make sure that those are protected. They are also looking at, making, having within the policy setbacks from waterways. So we talked about that as well. So that it was a productive discussion. And I think that hopefully they'll have something, at least in draft form. He wouldn't give me a timeline, but I think, if I continue helping in the way that I am, we'll probably try to get something sooner rather than later. So
Thank
that's
you.
the update for that. I've been working, primarily this last month has been, I mean, on a lot of different things, but we are writing a grant to the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative for green infrastructure in the shipyard development project. So I've been working a lot on that with Matt Buchanan in the planning department and people within Public Works. So that is due this Friday. So there's still a lot of work to be done. And but we're pretty excited about it. We've gotten a lot of great support from the community and letters of support from all the different organizations that I have been networking with, and you know, outside of Green Bay, even in different regions of the Great Lakes. So hopefully, and it's specific for shoreline communities that are on waterways adjacent to the Great Lakes or right on the Great Lakes. So in the Fox River, there's the Fox River, and there's several other rivers that are in areas of concern in the Great Lakes, and those get priority over the other cities that may be applying for the competitive grant. So I'm hoping that we're in a good position.
Melissa, do you know if Brown County has supplied a letter of support or not?
No, I did not reach out to Brown County. I don't really have any, I mean, I hate
mean,
to
I
say
can-
that. I really
If you-
don't.
Yeah, if you
Seagrant
send me a
has. I mean, I reached out to Julia, of course.
Yeah,
She
if you
wrote a letter.
send me a template, we could probably write a letter of support from the port, which is the governing body for the Fox River, you know, and a lot of the activities that go there, as well as Troy. Troy's very good about writing letters of support. We can just run it through Jeff Flint, and he'll, if you've got a template letter that we can
I
use
do.
for,
Yep. I'll
Yeah,
email it to you
just-
after the meeting because we have to submit this on Friday, Mark. So
yeah, but letter of supports can always go in late. That's a given that they always show up a week or two after the actual deadline in a lot of cases. So
I don't know.
yeah, well,
This EPA grant is like, nope, everything's got to be in, or
yeah, no, we got two of the GLRI grants over the last few. Well, Cat Island or Nard Island were both funded through GLRI, so I'm pretty familiar with that program.
Hmm.
But they'll accept letters of support.
And the city, the last one I think they received was for the Bay Beach permeable parking lot a few years back. So this one is going to be for structural stormwater tree pits along the river promenade that is following the shoreline of the shipyard development. So we'll get water quality and quantity benefits from that through biofilters within those engineered tree pits. So that's the one we're going for. So that's a big thing. And then lastly, what else did I have? Oh, and then for climate action, one of the, and I don't want to take everything away from Seth or John's clean energy work group update, but I did reach out to the Focus on Energy program a couple of weeks ago and gave them, I basically asked them for a report for all the city incentives and energy efficiency projects they've applied for incentives since 2018. And the reason why that's important is we can use that information. I'd like to see how much the city departments are utilizing the Focus on Energy program, because there's a lot of incentive money to apply for. But B, in that report that I requested, it has all of the kilowatt hour savings, natural gas savings, and we can use that in our measurements. Since the baseline of our emissions is based on 2018 utility data, that's where we need to start with measuring from there. So they gave me the report. I haven't looked through it yet. My initial, when I opened it up real quick, I thought, I know the city's done a lot more projects than this report is showing. So I think there's an education and just an awareness that I can hopefully have some influence in as a result of that. So.
Could I ask you if there are some projects that you're aware of that like aren't being promoted? Could we put some of those things up on our sustainability site webpage for the city?
You mean as far as like, hey, Parks Department did this, 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 and this, and they saved this much over the last 3 years. Is that what you're
Sure.
thinking, Ed?
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be good to share with the public.
So what my broader vision of how we could lay this out is, we can put it on the website. I don't have any problem with that. But what I think we should do, and I started talking with Shelby about this, is instead of having everything housed within just the sustainability portion of the website, which you have to like, you got to really dig to find where all this information is to have just a separate page and have a link on the city's homepage or however we want to do it that will take, well, if a person's interested in the sustainability and resiliency efforts of the city, they can go to that site. It's not going to take anything away from the Sustainability Commission's portion of the site, but I really want I want all of the efforts to be, it's not just like one department working on something or just this commission's working on something. It's kind of a bigger message. So that's the vision. And I mean, I don't think Shelby's great. She, we could probably put something like that together and just keep adding to it. So
And
that's,
Melissa, I would just like to add, yeah, I think that's sort of when you're looking at energy reduction, we've got to document this somehow. If we're going to eventually set some goals and try to achieve that, we want every department sort of looking and saying, well, how am I going to contribute to that? And this is just a good way to get it out there and make it understood that these departments are doing things. And it also encourages folks, departments to keep, so yeah, the more we can get that out in front of the public, I think the better we are as a community.
mhm. And then one other update that just cropped up in the last few days is we are going to be partnering with NWTC again on another energy audit. They did a renewable energy evaluation late, I guess that was early this spring already, of one of the parks buildings for solar. They did a solar evaluation. They have two students now new this semester that will be doing a lighting audit here at City Hall next week. So we'll get a report from that. And, there's been a lot of LED conversions already, in certain areas of City Hall, but it'll give the city a big picture of what the total energy savings and cost savings could be once everything within City Hall is converted. And so they'll be looking at the lighting itself and lighting controls. I guess the only other update I have is, I know I put out an email to everyone a while back saying, apply for your parking pass. I don't know if we're going to get together in person for meetings. So I don't know how important that parking pass is going to be if you haven't applied for it. So that's another thing. I guess I had more updates than I realized. Also, Seth, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but sadly, Cody is his last meeting. He's going to step down from Sustainability Commission. He wasn't able to make it tonight, but he will be at the September meeting. So if you have any ideas of, I have potentially a few people in mind, but if you have suggestions of potential replacements for Cody, think of people that have different areas of expertise related to sustainability. Cody was sort of unique because he had energy management and he had waste. He had a lot of different things in his role with Festival Foods. So keep that in mind, preferably a resident of the city of Green Bay. And you can just email me if you do have any suggestions.
Is that something we would maybe want to put on our webpage that we're looking for? I don't know, do you advertise for something like
Well,
that?
it's usually, I talked to the mayor about it today, and so the mayor asked me if I had any suggestions, but I don't really know if that would be an official process to like advertise for it, I don't know.
Usually commissions don't, when, but they need
Okay.
to fill it, that, they usually, I don't know why not. Seems to make sense in many ways, but that just hasn't been a past practice.
Mhm.
I would
it's-
like to see in general, maybe someone from business.
If it's not against our rules or our policy, I can put something on Facebook on our page.
I would hold off on that, Ned.
No problem.
I think that would be a good thing to get the opinion of, I don't know, city attorney or just kind of what the best practices are, because I feel like when recruitment for boards, commissions, things are just within our networks, we tend to self-select and we don't end up with a very diverse group of folks. So the more we can promote it out in the world, I think just at the end of the day lends towards a more diverse set of ideas, folks with different expertise, individuals. I mean, this is an open meeting. You're saying this here. I don't see like legally why that isn't something that could be advertised. So a little clarity on that would be good, because openness and transparency is important.
I'm thinking we can. I don't think there's any rules against it. It just never was past practice. I mean, I don't know why.
I will run it past the law department and just make sure that it would be okay.
I could have swore I saw a commission, maybe it wasn't Green Bay, but do like a ad even sponsored on Facebook for openings. Might have been a different city. Because I'm cool and I follow lots of local governments.
Melissa, what would the term be for that? Do you know?
3-year term.
We are looking at hiring a conservation corps coordinator to put together an AmeriCorps program within the Parks Department. I don't know if it could be that coordinator position is only for 1 year, but the hope is that the coordinator would be writing a grant to create a program grant, and then that position would carry over. So I don't know whether or not it could be another city staff member, but it might be a good candidate, whoever that person is.
I will ask if we can have more than one staff person. All right, guys, that's it for me. Committee updates.
Move on.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Seth.
committee
Sorry,
updates.
Seth.
Clean Energy Work Group. I can start, I guess, with that, John or Melissa or Ned. You might have some additions here. I think we had John, Melissa, and I had a really good conversation like last Tuesday about some of the different goals of our Clean Energy Work Group, figuring out the scope, the internal versus the external. There are a lot of really great resources that Melissa's shared with us about how some cities are going about their climate action. And I think, over the course of the next few weeks, there's going to just be some alignment of goals, figuring out the mayor spoke very strongly about, addressing climate in his State of the City address. It is my hope that we can, government always takes a little bit longer than we all would like. Either next month or the following month, have a presentation on what we've done as a commission so far on some of our clean energy work, and then lay out some of our options. So we have a consensus on how to move forward on a climate action plan, on some of the city goals. I think that would just get us all on the same page and really help us take our next steps and, stepping into Code Red for humanity. I'm sure a lot of us heard about the IPCC report. There's really never been a more no time like the present to address climate change. And it's really up to us at the local level to lead the charge here. So yeah, hopefully September or October, we can have a good discussion on that. I think if you have thoughts on that, please do reach out to myself or John or Melissa on what that might look like and some of that. But I look forward to having a really good conversation that leads to some really bold action. So that's my my bit. I don't know, John or Melissa, if you have any additions on that topic specifically.
Sure, I would say that I think we've got enough information with what we've compiled so far in terms of data for where we're at. I guess is sort of our benchmark, our current benchmark. And it would be good to share that with the powers that be and the necessary elements for a climate action plan, and just to share out that information where we want to go, and then find out where leadership wants us to go from there. So I think we can put that presentation together fairly quickly. It's just who are we sharing it with, and what's our trajectory going to look like.
Awesome. Any other questions or additions to this topic? Otherwise, I'm going to make a chair decision, allow for any other committee updates other than or individual updates other than from the clean energy crew.
I could, it's not necessarily a committee update, but you know, the county used to have a food waste and organic drop-off program, and we, pretty successful one. We had a couple hundred people, a couple hundred households that participated in that. Santa Max dropped that program as just yesterday, I was approached via email by a brand new company in Green Bay that is now, he advertised Green Bay's only curbside compost pickup service. And I know of a couple other local individuals who are doing pickup of food waste and compost, but it does beg the question of whether or not there is the desire at a municipal level to explore the options for a program like this. Food waste is somewhere between 20 and 25% of all the waste going into landfills, and it is a significant contributor from a landfill standpoint of methane. And it's just, we waste a lot of tons of food in a variety of areas. And a program like this really has a strong benefit for any community. There aren't a lot of successful municipal programs statewide yet. Milwaukee, Madison, Stevens Point, La Crosse have all looked at them, but I think it's something I would ask that we take a look at. Maybe the city of Green Bay can take a better stab at it. The county's in a weird position when it comes to waste. Well, we get all the waste, we don't collect anything. So we don't have the ability to actually run a program ourselves that's anything more than drop off. And we don't have an end market for whatever we collect. So it really does require a little more than the facilities we have and that'd be readily available. And it's something that I think the community really would look for. We continue to get calls on a pretty regular basis from both businesses and individuals to see if we're going to start the program up again or if we're going to do something new with it. Anyway, I think I think it fits well within something the Sustainability Commission should be looking at.
Mark, any idea what kind of capacity the private individual has?
I reached out to him to actually ask. He will do tours. It sounds like he's working on a residential lot. I have some concerns that what he's doing, he says it falls within state rules that he doesn't need a permit, which means it's pretty small. But that means he's also not handling a lot of stuff. And his rules for what he allows are a little bit more limited than what we had capacity for through Santa Max, through the actually UW Oshkosh digester program. None of the fats or grease is allowed, but nonetheless, it's an option. And truthfully, the best programs right now in our state are run by private, either nonprofits or a consortium that is between a municipality and some type of farming operation that can handle the compost. The biggest issue is, what do we do with the material once it's been composted? What do you do with it? It's great that you can create this stuff. We can always find a way to treat it in a compost facility, but then at the end of the day, what do you do with it once it's been degraded down to compost?
Well, what are other cities like San Francisco sells it to farmers, right?
A lot of them use a variety of technologies to actually reduce the material down to a compost. UWGB's John's pilot program is a small scale example of what some larger areas do. Biodigesters fit into this as part of the mix. Farming operations absolutely fit into it as part of the mix. So that you have to have a willing participant, the ag side, who's willing to take the material on and have a use for it in the long run. Milwaukee partners with Compost Crusader. Melissa Tanzian runs a collection service basically, and then she works with an organic farm and like Racine that takes the material. Sue's composting out of the Fond du Lac area. They're one of the composting companies that does that. Stevens Point has an organization that started out as a couple of students working on an organic farm that then bought the operation, and they provide a subscription pickup service. And this guy sounds like he's doing kind of the same thing. He just doesn't have, there's no way his operation right now could be big enough to handle a municipal program as a rule, municipal wide. I know that I can't think of her name, the woman out of Crivets who comes down and does some collections in De Pere. There's a company out of Sheboygan that was looking to expand into our area, but I think we have to, as a community, have to show willingness to start up some kind of program to actually get these people more involved. And then maybe it's a competitive process to get a variety of haulers and disposers into the mix.
Is it Donna? Is that who comes down from Crivets?
Yeah, Farmer Donna, that's what her name is.
Yeah. Food waste, Mark, it's such a huge part of climate change. And I feel like other cities have had policies in places for, and San Francisco since the 90s. Are there any, do you think there are any model ordinances that we could look into?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. There are programs, nationwide. State of Massachusetts is the first state that actually passed a statewide organics collection mandate. So, curbside, every community in the state of Massachusetts has to do curbside collection. Washington, Oregon, California all have collection programs. Dubuque, Iowa may be one would be more in our region, something that they've done. There's several programs in the Twin Cities that are looking at that, one run by one of the local tribes up there as a collection facility. But, you got to have the population and somewhat get to that density level, and it's a willing population and a system in place that will handle all this.
As I've been reading through other communities' climate action plans, Dane County's was especially comprehensive and thorough, and they have there are 5 or 6 different sections that have specific recommendations, and one of the sections is on waste materials, and it really focuses on food waste. So that was interesting and something we can consider as we get to the community-wide climate action planning, if we want that to be a component of it, which I think there'd be, like Ned said, a big reason to do so.
With the compost, isn't that something you want to spread around?
Yeah, and you want to shovel it deep too.
Oh, I do that.
I don't. Seth and John met for the climate group. I wasn't able to make that one, but I do have a meeting coming up with our. If you're done, Mark, I'm sorry. Are you done? You are, okay. With our school superintendent, Murley, next week, and we have been meeting off and on to discuss climate action at the school district level. So I think, and I've said this before about our group, I think that other governmental organizations around us kind of look in at what we've been able to do in the city, and we act as a model. So I think that's good. I think we're showing leadership, and I think it's spreading. So I guess I also wanted to ask if the sisters, we had a couple sisters from St. Francis, if I know that they attended a couple times ago, and if they wanted to speak, we could suspend the rules if they needed, if they were here to share anything. Were you guys, did you ladies want to speak at all?
At this point, I think we're trying to learn what's happening in our area. So this is our reason for trying to observe the Sustainability Commission. I've been in communication with someone at the Catholic Diocese of Green Bay to learn more about what might be happening in some of the parishes. And as a former faculty member at St. Norbert, to learn what they're doing. For example, they have purchased a biodigester. It's not installed yet, but, and of course they have, in their whole food area, they have done so much to control, you know, the amount of
Sister,
waste.
if I may, we should probably open the floor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, motion to
Usually.
suspend the rules.
Open the floor.
Yep.
Second to open.
Sorry, it's 2021. I still can't find the mute button. Open the floor motion by Randy, seconded by Ned. In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. All right. The floor is yours, Sister Sally Ann.
So we of course here have been trying to work on sustainability, but we know that we have much to learn, and so that's my reason for reaching out to other entities in the local community. Basically, we're here to learn. And it is very educational. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Do you have a contact person at St. Norbert who would know more about their biodigester that you could share?
Their sustainability committee is chaired by Dr. Mark Bachenhauer. And I'm sorry, right off the top of my head, I don't know who's in charge of food service right now.
Yeah, I know that they're the person who had been part of their food service retired this past year. So I don't know who the new person is.
Mark, you might want to contact Rick Warpinski. I think he oversees that area. He was the former union director of operations at UW Green Bay. So,
That's- okay. Thank you.
mhm.
If that's all, Sister Sally Ann, then I'll make
Yes.
a motion. Okay, then I'll make the motion to close the floor.
Second.
All right, thank you, Sister Sally Ann. Motion to close the floor by Ned, seconded by Randy. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. All right. Anything else? Any other updates from folks before we get to the end of the meeting here?
I have an
Cory?
update.
Yeah.
It's an exciting one. Mark, I didn't know if you were gonna steal the thunder. It's regarding the Next Trex Challenge and the fact that we've already met our 500-pound goal with collecting the plastic film. So yay. We are going to continue with the collection of the plastic, and we're planning to submit again for another bench, after the 6-month time period is up. So it's been successful. The wildlife sanctuary seems to be the most popular drop-off site, which is great. And today I just got an email that we're going to be posting these flyers next to the bins. There's a QR code on there, and it takes you to a site where you can purchase these, reusable bags, and they have really cool, like, Green Bay related things on them. It's the bag, BAYG, like Green Bay, right? Some of them say. So it's just exciting and kind of trying to help the initiative to reduce the amount of plastic that ends up in the waste. So that's all.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, Cory, I wasn't here this past week when they came in and weighed up. I know that they had a couple 100 pounds the very first time, so I was hopeful that it was moving along pretty well. That's really great to hear. Every bag that comes out of the waste stream, I am thrilled with. So, yeah, good job.
Do we know where we're going to put the first bench?
At the wildlife sanctuary near the observation building, the front entrance where there's a collection bin. And I think there might be a little free library right there too. So that way people can kind of see what they're contributing towards. So that's the plan.
Cool. Great news. Thanks, Cory. Any other updates that folks have? Bueller. All right. Hearing none, entertain a motion to adjourn. By Ned, seconded by Randy. All those in favor. Oh, do we have a third?
My dog. Yep.
All right. Sounds like he wants to adjourn too. All those in favor of adjourning, bark or say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right. Well, adjourned. Good to see you all, and we'll see you when we see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.